is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are FC.
Royals baseball this afternoon from Kauffman Stadium. The Royals wrap up a 3-game series with the Orioles and a homestand before heading out to the West Coast. And it's another gorgeous day in Kansas City. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joel Goldberg is coming up in a couple of segments. The bad news is the Royals aren't clicking on all cylinders yet. The good news is they have managed to go 11-6, and they're on pace to win 100 games.
They are, and I'm telling you, though, it's going to happen. And Ned Yost and company, they understand the patience that a hitter needs before he starts to click. But we got to get the middle of that order going.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys in particular. Alex Gordon and Lorenzo Cain have really been pitched well in this series. They're just 2 for 14. You can understand why, because they tore up the Orioles in the championship series a couple of years ago.
Yeah, why don't we show a little flashback of that? Lorenzo Cain, he had his stealing shoes on and he had his hitting shoes on. This is what they want to do. See how he's using the whole field, not trying to overswing, just finding those lousy holes out there in the outfield. And when it comes to defense, wow, he was on top of his game.
He was the ALCS MVP, and if he didn't win the award, Alex Gordon might have.
Yeah, did you see that rare emotion we saw from Gordon slide into third base? We got to get these guys going, folks. Look, once they start clicking, so will that offense.
On the flip side, the Orioles can really hit. They can be pitched to. Held to just 2 runs in game 1, but they busted out with 8 last night. We'll talk about the Birds when we come back. Royals championship banner is blowing out. It's another windy, warm day at Kauffman Stadium. And with the Baltimore Orioles in town, Well, you got to be very careful with the way you pitch.
You better believe it, man. They've got some power in the middle of that order. Man, and I mean it, from the right side to the left side, you've got to find a way to miss the barrel of their bats. And they can do damage over the fence. Heck, we don't want to get one of our players in front of that line drive either. These guys really know what to do when the ball's out over the middle. Ventura's got to be able to find ways to stay under those bats.
Our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. That's what the 2, 3, and 4, and 5 hitters have done in this series. So a big task for Yordano Ventura, who's really becoming a complete pitcher this year, using all of his pitches. Joel will talk about that when we come back.
Stadium to be home sweet home. His last 9 starts here, he has a 5-1 record, and the Royals have won 8 of those 9 starts, including Tuesday's game against Detroit. Welcome back to the K. Joel Goldberg down by the Royals dugout. Ned Yost says that so many young pitchers, especially ones that throw hard, try to overpower everyone with their fastball and their secondary pitches. But then eventually they learn how to pitch, they ease up, and they're able to become more the pitcher than the thrower. That's the case with Yordano this year.
If you're relying on fastballs in the big leagues, you're going to be in trouble unless your location is impeccable. And this year, with his ability to command both his changeup and his curveball to a high degree, it's making him a better pitcher.
Ed Yost says the best at that was Hall of Famer John Smoltz, who used to throw at 92 to 93% effort. We're seeing more of that from Yordano Ventura, who looks for his 2nd win on the homestand. More coming up from Kauffman Stadium.
Stadium, so the pitchers have to keep the ball down. It's going to fly out of here. Royals are 1-1 in deciding games this year, and they are 3-1-1 in 5 series this season. This is the deciding game.
We in the World Series trying to take the whole thing. We too hot right now to have a cold game. Pitchers on the mound throwing 90 miles an hour. I see the clouds move in, looks like scary showers. Must stay focused. I'm trying to knock it out the park. I feel lights came on 'cause it's getting dark. I feel my heartbeat, adrenaline.
Spring so far in Kansas City, and another warm, windy, sunny, bright blue sky day as the Royals and Orioles wrap up a 3-game series, and we are ready to go. Yordano Ventura to Joey Rickard, and a fastball at 94 is in for a strike. Caleb Joseph, Ryan Flaherty are additions to the Orioles lineup today, the number 8 and number 9 hitters. The Royals have pitched Joey Rickard well, rookie, Rule 5 player who was off to a great start for Baltimore. But in this series, he is just 1 for 9, and the Royals struck him out 4 times on Friday night.
The Orioles know what they got in Ventura. Plus fastball, plus curveball, and plus changeup. And they're going to see a mix of all 3 of them. Ooh, man, that's freaking easy. That windup's looking good. He's getting ahead of hitters so far, this guy here. And I'll tell you what, Ventura, if he's anything like he's been in his last few starts, minus the walks, he'll be tough to hit today.
Everything is going to be a challenge in the air today. There's sun, there was a lot of wind, but Lorenzo Cain had very little trouble with that fly ball. So Ventura gets the leadoff man to begin the game. Start number 3, and as Hud was talking, 12 walks in his first 16 innings. Otherwise, the numbers are very impressive.
Yeah, and really, he's been able to dodge some of the damage with those walks. He's done a good job. And it's really the most impressive thing about Ventura this year is he's able to harness that incredible competitiveness, that energy that sometimes throws him off of his game. But he's looking more polished every time he goes out there.
Now let's see what the Royals can do with Manny Machado, hottest hitter in the American League. He has a 16-game hitting streak. He is trying to tie a team record if he gets a base hit today. Davey Johnson, former Oriole great, longtime major league manager, started the 1971 season with a 17-game hitting streak. That was the year I was born.
Ah, great year. It's awesome. Davey Johnson, what a career baseball guy he is, and he had a
one on Machado. Here are the Royals defensively behind Ventura this afternoon. Same outfield, Gordon, Kane, Dyson. On the infield, Christian Colon will be at second base, and Drew Gutierrez behind the plate. Both Omar Infante and Salvador Perez getting the afternoon off. Our Ford Royals defense for today. And now Chris Davis, who bats third after hitting fourth in the first two games, and he tied a career high last night with 4 hits. He also belted his 6th home run of the year.
hasn't had much success or any off of Ventura, though. He's 0 for 7 with 6 strikeouts. So Ventura's got his number.
And really had him fooled there. He put a fastball swing on a changeup.
Climb the ladder on him. That's where you want to stay on him.
Davis's home run last night was his 165th since 2012. That's the most in the major leagues. Changeup got him looking. That pitch has been great for Yordano Ventura in his first 3+ starts.
So much so that that's his go-to pitch. Perfectly executed. Davis got to go.
Very rare, HUD, to see a pitcher who throws 95, 96, and 97 consistently. His fastball only throw it about half the time.
It's because of the 2 exceptional secondary pitches, and that curveball's not too shabby either. With that kind of velocity he throws, he can get away with just 2 pitches. His fastball, changeup, but he'll mix in that curveball. It's a lot of it like Kelvin Herrera, although Kelvin's just a reliever. Ventura, being a starting pitcher, has to go longer and face these guys 3, maybe 4 times through the order.
Jones is way out in front. 1 ball and 1 strike. So here the numbers. I mean, some pitchers who throw that hard, I mean 70% of the time they're going to throw their fastball, but he's gone from 3 years ago over 65% to just over 51% so far this year. And then when they have, you can talk about this from a hitter's perspective, when they're thinking off speed in the back of their mind, you got no chance at 96.
None. You can't think about those secondary pitches. You've got to focus on that heater, and obviously Adam Jones a little tardy today on that fastball.
Still 1-2. Royals have done a good job with Adam Jones in this series. The most he has done is reach base with walks. He only has 1 hit, but a veteran with a good eye. He's walked 3 times and scored twice. 2-2.
You mentioned it's going to be a tough day for fielders, man. That wind is swirling. It's just not, it's 21 miles an hour, but it's swirling around the ballpark. It's going to be difficult.
On the ground to Moustakas.
No chance.
And he knew it. The best that Mike Moustakas could do there is just throw it to Hosmer without an out. So Jones' second hit of the series is a 2-out infield single.
Yep, that's a pocket ball. Nice practice on the pickup, though, barehanded by Moose. Just put it in your pocket. Let him have it.
So 2 on, 2 out to Mark Trumbo. Don't want to make a mistake to this guy. It'd be easy to say, okay, I'm through Machado, I'm through Davis, and I'm through Jones, but Trumbo has 15 RBIs. He was named co-American League Player of the Week for this past week. And by the way, all 15 RBIs have been on the road. So it's not like he's padding his stats at Camden Yards.
Yeah, no, there's not a ballpark in America that can hold this guy. And he's hit out in this series a couple really hard, scalding line drives. But that last pitch he swung at, no one can hit that fair. That ball was on the outer half and down.
Same pitch, same location, different pitch. And the count is 1-2.
Trumbo, he's out of the batter's box now, and he's telling himself, ooh, could be a tough day today. You can see that look in his face. Hey. Glad I don't have to stand in there.
Blocked by Ventura. Trumbo has driven in 4 in the series, and all 4 were last night, driving in half of the Orioles' runs as they even the series with an 8-3 win. And he sped up on him, base hit left field. Machado is around third. Alex's throw is a little bit late, and with 2 outs, Mark Trumbo drives in his 16th run of the year, all on the road, to give Baltimore a 1-0 lead.
Dave Ireland's not a big fan of the speed up pitch. He says when you speed up, don't throw a fastball because it speeds the hitter up. If you're gonna do a quick pitch, maybe throw a changeup or a breaking ball, and that might fool him, but he didn't fool him there. And the Orioles had to do it. They had to get the lead early. Royals almost welcome the opponents to take the lead.
And now it's a 25 pitch inning for Ventura as he gets Pedro Alvarez with 2 on and 2 out. The wind will push that back into the crowd. Another nice crowd here this afternoon. Very few empty seats. We had a sellout last night, 39,900. Alvarez is off to a slow start, batting at 118. 0 for 2 with a walk in this series. And Ventura's ahead 0-2.
Alvarez is struggling like a lot of hitters are in the majors at this time, and he's really anxious. It's almost like he's up there just trying to, squeeze the sawdust out of that bat just so he can get a hit.
Sharply to Hosmer. He'll take it to the bag himself, and that ends the inning. So it's a 29 pitch inning, and the Orioles get 1. the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Comic-Con Day. Cosplay was encouraged, and many accepted that invitation. Here's the Royals lineup. Christian Colon will bat 7th at second base, and Drew Butera will give Salvador Perez the day off, as the Royals will face a big right-hander, Mike Wright, 26 years old, 6'6", 215 pounds.
He's a big guy, no question about it. Going to use that to leverage that sinking fastball. That's what he throws. He'll go 93 to 96, slider and a changeup. His changeup's a pretty good pitch for him. Has an occasional curve, but doesn't show it very often.
Going to be tough. Sunshine, wind, and Scope is able to bring it down and get Escobar. Here are the Orioles defensively in the outfield. Rickard, Jones, Trumbo on the infield. Flaherty's at third. Machado making just his 8th career start at shortstop. He's a natural shortstop. He moved to third just a few years ago, with Scope and Davis on the right side and Caleb Joseph behind the plate.
Flaherty, shortstop, needs a day off. I mean Hardy. Flaherty's getting a chance to play at third.
Mike Moustakas is down in the count. No balls, 2 strikes. Nice catch down below. It's been a very good homestand for Moustakas. 8 hits. And 5 of the 8 have been for extra bases. 3 doubles, 2 home runs, and 4 driven in. I see Caleb Joseph do what Salvador Perez does right before that pitch to alert the right side of the infield.
Looked like he was trying to alert him. Of course, they got the whole right side covered. They got a nice little triangle defense working over there, and then plenty of room for Moose on the other side.
One ball and 2 strikes. Still 1-2.
That was that left field swing. Moose has got down pat, especially on this homestand. He's raking. Wright's a ground ball pitcher when he's on his game. Falls off to the left towards the first base line. Pretty heavy. I mean, I don't know. It's not too many Royals that bunt, but might be the kind of guy you could get a bunt down on.
Jones and Rickard. And it's Jones for the second out. This is just the second time the Royals have seen Mike Wright. And the first time they faced him, Lorenzo Cain had a big game. He had 2 solo home runs. That was September of last year. What looked like a good night for the Royals. The Royals had a 6-4 lead going into the 8th inning, and the Orioles scored 10 with a couple of grand slams. And now Cain, there's a good looking swing. Trumbo goes back and he makes a play. But Lorenzo Cain, who is off to a slow start at the plate, that's about as good a swing as he's had all year.
Great play.
Single from Mark Trumbo in the top of the first inning. Yordano Ventura. And we were looking at how he is throwing fewer fastballs this year than in the past, and he's throwing with a little less velocity.
It's nice. I mean, he really doesn't need 97. I mean, 2-mile-an-hour difference, it can mean a lot to a hitter, but for Ventura, it's going to help him in the long run. Doesn't have to overthrow, especially with the secondary pitches working so well.
Scope hits it to right center field. Dyson is there for the out. Ned Yost was talking before the game about how power pitchers are supposed to have an explosive fastball, but it can lead them into overthrowing their curveball and overthrowing their changeup. And with Ventura's stuff, meaning the velocity and the movement of his pitches, because it's so good, that everything doesn't have to be hard. Sometimes you just got to get a changeup over for a strike, or just get a curveball over for a strike. You don't have to throw a Hall of Fame curveball or changeup, and it seems like that's what he's doing.
Yeah, and you know, of course, they worked with him to get the right arm slot for that fastball. When he tapes his stick back off of the rubber, he's able to have better balance and come right over the top, and the same arm slot really helps him repeat his delivery. And you want to repeat your delivery so there's more consistency there with all three pitches. Comfortable takeaway spot, good separation of the hands over the knee, good balance. Very compact. A natural throwing motion. Free and easy.
Right to Cologne. 2 up, 2 down. Caleb Joseph grounds out. We remind you, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game, brought to you by the Miller Lite.
Take a look at Ventura. See, it's very simple. Takes a small step back, gets his balance, knee comes up, front shoulder going north and south to the plate. Wants to go right to the catcher's glove. That's perfectly thrown right there.
Ryan Flaherty appears in the series for the first time.
Yeah, a lot of simplicity to this delivery. And we see this a lot from the modern day pitchers now that throw 95 plus. That they really simplify. They don't throw their hands over their head. They don't have a big leg kick and swings them off their motion. They're off their balance. They really do concentrate on just keeping it simple.
After a long top of the first inning, Ventura comes back 3 up, 3 down with just 9 pitches. The second inning. He's the subject of our Toyota League leaders in the major leagues. Players age 26 or younger. Here are the top 5 for hits. Well, Hosmer is 1 hit away from number 800, and he's 4th on that list. Would you have figured that Starlin Castro would have been on top of that list?
Well, you know, he was awfully young when he was a starter for the Cubs, but I didn't realize he was that young. Man, that's a ton of hits.
Hosmer also carries a 13-game hitting streak to the plate, second only to Manny Machado's 16-game hitting streak. He has had exactly 1 hit in each of his last 8 games to extend the streak. That's hit off the glove of Scope, so it's a 14-gamer, and base hit number 800 in Eric Hosmer's career.
Get that hit in your first or second at bat, you can relax the rest of the game, and he did that. Hit it hard. Scope, the second baseman, thought he had it in his glove, but it was hit so hard it carried him out of there. And Haas, love it. This guy took off out of the box. He sees it hit off of his glove. He wants 2. Look at him. Watch him. He wants to go to second base here. But he made a wise decision to start the inning. Scope with a good arm, off balance, made a 1-hop throw to Machado, would have gotten him. So good job putting on the brakes. Don't want to run into anything else, especially with this guy hitting and Alex Gordon coming up.
So 14-game hitting streak, and he has reached base in 26 consecutive games going back to last year, and that is the longest current streak in the major leagues. Now Kendrys Morales, he has swung the bat well on this homestand. He's just hadn't had a whole lot of opportunities with men in scoring position. He has 18 at bats against the Tigers and the Orioles on this homestand and 1 RBI. Changeup and a beauty. 1-2.
Yeah, and he sells it. Mike Wright's got a lot of moving parts to his delivery. Herky jerky, kind of a tough, deceptive way. And then after that fastball, that changeup looks really hard to hit. It's perfectly located. Hosmer in the first pitch to Morales tried to get a good jump, and he guessed, and he was right, but he stopped. He would have had the bag easy.
2-2 on Morales.
He can be a little erratic, can Mike Wright. They have a term for that they use. They say he's effectively wild. And what that means to the hitter, he's looking hard, but he's just not sure where it's going to go. Sometimes that'll mess a hitter up.
Strike 3 over the outside with a changeup. Mike Wright's first strikeout.
Well, that's 2 that he threw Morales in that at bat that were perfectly executed.
Well, we saw a real nice swing for Lorenzo Cain in the bottom of the first, and Cain and Gordon were 2 guys we talked about who have not been right quite yet. And now Alex with 1 on 1 out. But with Alex and his good eye, even when he's not getting a lot of hits, he's still getting on base. He has 4 walks in the series to go with, or 4 walks on the homestand to go with 3 hits. Yeah. And that gets away from Davis. You know, you will see that every now and then, Hud, where a pitcher just loses focus. Eric Hosmer had a lead of about 3 feet. And Mike Wright threw over there like Gerard Dyson was. Look at that lead. I mean, you could have the best and quickest move in the history of a right-hand pitcher, and you're still not going to pick off Eric Hosmer.
You're exactly right. I mean, Mike Wright looked like he guided the throw over there. He knew Hosmer didn't have a good lead, but he just held on too long and goosed the throw. Now, at times, Mike, he'll fight his nerves. Now, he doesn't have any reason to be nervous right here. He's got a 1-0 lead. Just go ahead and execute your game and try to stay right there and work that changeup. It looks like this changeup might be his best pitch so far. Royals would love to pick up their averages with runners in scoring position. That's one of their marks that was so good last year, and they're down at just 224 as a team.
Alex is hitting 224 overall, but 40 points better when you put a runner in scoring position. Tried to get him to climb the ladder. 2-2.
They'll pick that up as their offense starts to heat up. They know what it takes to get the job done. They don't try to get big with their swings, especially with 2 strikes. Can't see that guy on the left.
Still 2-2.
That's what I mean. Alex was taking a shot down that third base line with that swing. You just shorten it up a little bit, try to put it in play, find one of those holes.
Stayed with the fastball. That one up there at 97. 3-2. Colon is on deck.
It's the one he wanted to swing and miss on. To the 4-seamer. It's tempting to a hitter. Ouch.
Got him on the knee. Ouch. You're
Look,
right.
and didn't even flinch. I better check that baseball for a dent in it. You hit that guy in the thigh, Alex Gordon, man. That ball is not going to have a problem. I mean, Alex is very strong. Ooh, off the top of the knee. You know, that's a delicate spot. I mean,
Man, that hurts up here.
That's bone on bone and didn't even flinch. No limp to first base and didn't rub it. Oh man, there's an Iron Man right there, and I know there might be a few costumes today in the stands, but no problem. Just in a day's walk in the park.
2 on 1 out. Christian Colon appears for the first time on the homestand, and he goes the other way, right to Davis. And the Orioles throw it away. Well, the Royals did not turn a double play in the 4th inning of last night's game. The Orioles turned it into 4 runs, and now the Royals get a gift. This inning should be over.
Just what you want to use that side of the field there, and Machado couldn't see it. But you know, one step out of the box and you're already out. Fortunately, it didn't turn into a double play.
No error because there was no advance. But 2 misplays in the inning. The error by Wright trying to pick off Hosmer, and now the throw that did not result in a double play. So Dyson comes up with 2 on 2 out. Dyson plays in his 6th game since coming back from the disabled list, and he has reached safely in each of the first 5. Pretty good swing. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Pitchers like to stay up in the zone against Dyson, because if he does put the bat on it, likely he's going to fly it in the air. He doesn't have a consistent home run stroke. He does have some pop, but they'd rather him hit it in the air than on the ground and run it out and get a base hit.
2 balls and 1 strike. Hosmer reached with an infield single. A shot off the second baseman Scope's glove, went to second on a throwing error by Wright. With 1 out, Gordon was hit by a pitch. And now 2 on, 2 out to Dyson. On the ground to Scope. And Wright gets out of it. Royals strand 2. And Baltimore leads 1-0 at the end of 2. Year.
I mean, really?
Yeah, I mean,
Come on.
what a siblings who are not held in very high regard.
One thing we can learn, watch Eric Hosmer on the line, okay? He took a couple steps, he's off by a mile, the throw gets away before he even gets back to the back, but now he clicks in and says, I got to tag up before I advance to third. You still have to tag. A lot of runners would freeze and they would see the ball throw away and they would go, okay, I'm going to third, I'm leaving. But he had it in mind to go back and tag up.
But his first instinct was, ball gets away, I'm going to third.
Yep.
Yordan Ventura has had a 28-pitch inning and a 9-pitch inning. Top of the order. And low to Joey Rickard. He flied out to center field to open the game. Two balls and no strikes. The Orioles run came in the first inning. Mark Trumbo, who's driven in 5 in the last 2 games, singled in Manny Machado. 2-1.
Had his first Major League 4 strikeout game in game 1 against Chris Young.
Up the middle, Escobar in time. Royals are much more aware of his speed today. Rickard beat out that double play in the 4th inning last night, which sparked a 4-run rally.
It's good contact to the left or the right of the shortstop. If you can run like that, you got a chance. But what I was going to say was, manager Buck Showalter called Chris Davis in his office after the young kid struck out 4 times in a row. Davis had 3 strikeouts. Buck Showalter said, hey, look, we're trying to make our kid comfortable here. Couldn't you have struck out a 4th time and made the kid feel better? You know, just
now that would be a team first move.
Yeah, I mean, just messing with him, but really just kind of keeping him loose.
Speaking of 4 strikeouts, here's Joel.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at those. We always wonder about local connections. Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer, both from Miami. They're 3 years apart. Never played against each other, didn't really know each other, but Eric Hosmer was, and still is, a Scott Boras client. Manny Machado was going that route when he was in high school, so he had a representative from the Boras group. So Hosmer, out of curiosity, his first 2 years after the minor leagues with the Royals, would go back home to Miami, and he'd go check out Manny Machado's games locally. And there they finally get him out with the strikeout. But I said to Hosmer, what did you see when you went and watched him play? And he said, exactly what you're seeing now. The one difference was that he was a shortstop then. And of course, now today he is. But he wasn't really known for a great glove back then. That was the one part that wasn't top of his game. He could flat out hit, he said back then. Now the glove has come around and make him one of the best, if not the best, third baseman in the American League today, though, at shortstop.
Yeah, I remember we saw his big league debut, Manny Machado, and he was still making the conversion to third base. Alex turns away from the sun, so Ventura, after 9 pitches in the second, has an 8-pitch third.
Beautifully done.
Chevy. Visit your local Kansas City area Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be, with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price every day. See the clouds moving in, so what was a very bright beginning to the game, now we're kind of alternating between the game being in the bright sunlight and in the shadows of the clouds. So a hitter can be at the plate and looking at the pitcher with a bright backdrop, and then in a flash everybody's in the shadows.
Well, conditions, day game baseball really can challenge performers. The wind especially.
Drew Butera, shallow right field, and it drops in between 3 Orioles, and Butera, running hard, ends up at second base.
Yeah, good for him. Hasn't played in 8 days. Can't tell you how tough that is for timing, but he swings at the first pitch he sees. A good fastball, good swing. Second pitch, he swings again. He's not up there to be taking any walks and looking at pitches. He's hacking, and that ball just fell perfectly for him. You know, you pull for guys like that. Look at him, and he's going hard. He was running the whole way, and he gets a leadoff double with that hustle.
So let's see if that gets the Royals going. Top of the order coming up. Alcides Escobar can do a lot of things here. Could bunt, he could hit it to the right side, or just swing away and go for the big inning.
Ooh.
He's going to get the bunt down, and Butera got a good read. You don't normally teach a hitter to bunt a pitch like that But he gets the job done.
No, watch your fingers on that, man. You know, coming up and in with that velocity, that can be very dangerous. But for Escobar, he's able to at least pull his hands in and barrel it up, and he wasn't sure what was going to happen. He saw it, got down. He says, all right, that's what I want to do. But not on that pitch. Too dangerous.
And if I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would bet Escobar did that on his own.
Yep, I think you'd be 100% correct. These players all know how to play the game and win. Moose, he knows what to do here. Infield's going to back up halfway. Gives him a little bit more range on balls hit hard. Moose wants to look, see if he can get something elevated.
Infield is in halfway.
And straight up. It's first time up with nobody on. They had him with the 3 men on the right side.
One ball and 1 strike. And that's out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's had a productive homestand. 381 with 2 home runs to lead the Royals with 6, and he's driven in 4. He's trying to get Ventura in from third to tie the game at 1.
And you know, that's why the infielders aren't all the way in on the grass. Ventura's speed, and like I said, it gives them a little bit more range. They still will make a play at the plate. Uh-oh.
That is the second time in the last 2 innings a Royal has lined to an infielder. It's the 3rd time in 3 innings the Royals have lined out. Kane lined to deep right in the 1st. Colon lined to 1st in the 2nd, and now Moustakas lines to short in the 3rd.
Good swing. Moose using the other side of the field, though. Nothing you can do. He gets under that just a 1/4 of an inch. He's going to hit the gap out there.
Now Lorenzo Cain has had as good a swing as we've seen in quite a while when he lined out to deep right in the 1st inning. Yeah. 0-1. Lorenzo has homered twice, and yet he has not hit a double yet this year. He's had 63 at-bats. Again, trying to go to right field, and now he's down 0-2.
This is one of the things the Royals are doing good this year, doing the right ways. Is 277 batting average with 2 outs. That's best in Major League Baseball. See if Lorenzo Cain can add to that number here. Straight up on the infield, pretty much straight up in the outfield on Locaine.
Out to Davis, fumbles, recovers, and to the bag himself, and almost collided with Cain. So leadoff double, runner at 3rd, 1 out, and the Royals are unable to get Ventura home. FS1 as Matt Carpenter and the Cardinals head to the desert to take on Paul Goldschmidt and the Diamondbacks. It all starts at 8 p.m. on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. And tomorrow night in Anaheim, it's the Royals and the Angels at 9 o'clock Kansas City time. Adam Jones, Mark Trumbo, and Pedro Alvarez come up in the top of the 4th inning against Yordano Ventura. Jones reached with an infield single in the first inning, which prolonged the inning and got Trumbo to the plate, and then he drove in Machado for the only run. That's well hit to right field. Dyson is back. He is at the fence. He's got it. Tough day, Hud, with the sun and the wind, but we've seen very good plays by both right fielders on the track.
Yeah, and those plays, they may make them look easy, but I can tell you on a day like today, like you described, that's difficult. Look at him, takes his eye off the ball, looking where he is at the wall. That's perfect. You got to see where you are. You got to know where that wall is and how much room you have. And thankfully, the grounds crew added 5 feet on the warning track a couple of years ago for Lorenzo Cain and company, so they gives them a little bit more room to know that they're getting close to that wall. Good timing there.
So Trumbo with 1 out and nobody on. He's driven in 5 in the series, 4 last night, and then in the first inning today drove in Machado, and he is down 0-2. He was down 0-2 in the first inning as well, and ended up with that single to left field.
That was on the quick pitch fastball. Wasn't what Ventura wanted there. Good breaker there, just off.
Breaking ball down. That is 4 strikeouts for Ventura, and all 4 strikeouts have been on off-speed pitches today.
Starts belt high, that's going to be a ball, but you know it's hard for the hitter to pick up Ventura's rotation. Very difficult. The only pitch that you can see a little difference in the rotation is his changeup, but by the time you're looking fastball and you get that pitch, sometimes that's too late.
Look at how he's recovered after that 28 pitch first inning.
Puts him right back in a good pitching count, man. I mean, that's perfect. He's 51 pitches. He'll be all right here. He can just continue to use the defense.
Alvarez grounded sharply to Hosmer in the first inning. And here's another sign of Ventura's ability to use all of his pitches. You know, I'm sure his whole life everyone has talked about his fastball, and everywhere he pitched as an amateur and in the minor leagues, all he saw behind home plate was radar guns. Moustakas called off by Escobar, and he makes the play. It's an 8-pitch inning for Ventura, and to finish the point, Ventura has struck out 21 this year, 16 on off-speed pitches, and now he needs some run support middle of the order coming up.
first inning. Lorenzo Cain trying to get something going offensively, hit into some bad luck. Nice play there by Trumbo in right field. And now Cologne, man, doesn't get a chance to play very often, lines it right to Davis. And then Moose would have picked up a ribby and tied this game up had he not hit it right at him. The Atom balls aren't working. Maybe hit him, take a little off, doink him in there. Sometimes hitting them hard is overrated, but you can't control it. All you hit can control is just trying to see that ball and put some good wood on it.
Hosmer also led off the second inning and did so with a single to extend his hitting streak to 14 games. Now, I don't know if there is an area of offense that is debated more, and especially here in Kansas City, than the sacrifice bunt. And Escobar put one down after Butera's double in the third inning, and recent advanced metrics will try to prove that giving up an out isn't as productive as people think, advancing the runner and giving up the out. Of course, the flip side of that is you have no idea what would have happened if he didn't put down the sacrifice bunt, so much of it is hypothetical. But Drew Butera opened the third inning with a double, and we just showed you some of the hard hit outs that the Royals have had against Mike Wright. His ERA is 5.73, by the way. And I said when Escobar put the bunt down, which was pretty amazing that he got this bunt down, that I thought, and if I were a betting man, he did that on his own, that didn't come from the dugout.
Yes, because early in the game and against the guy that, you know, it seemed like they're getting on track and squaring him up, that you would go ahead and try to swing and knock him in and move him over with a swing, and the chances that it could get a base hit. For me, I'm going to have to wait. He's going to give me the sign before I do that early in the game. Late in the game, if it's tie game and you want to kind of move him over there, you know, that's a little bit more reasonable. But Escobar did that on his own, obviously, and
we think,
yeah, and got him over, but they couldn't get him in.
And here's the part that I think, you know, the numbers people have a hard time wrapping their brains around why a guy would sacrifice. You have to understand what the hitter is thinking when he comes to the plate. Esky may have come up in the first inning and said, man, I'm not seeing this guy at all. You know, he may be thinking to himself, boy, this guy's a handful. And now Hosmer is down on strikes. So, you know, from an outsider looking in, you can say, well, he's got to swing away here. And I think that's probably, as you described, the right thing to do early in the game. But from a hitter's point of view, you know, he's just trying to do something positive in that inning. In his mind, he may have been thinking, you know what, the best thing I can do right here, by the way I feel at the plate, is get a bunt down. And it just didn't work. He got the bunt down, but the Royals didn't get a run.
And they're going to have to make their breaks offensively. You know, Atom balls, hit the ball hard right at people, you know, that's part of baseball, but they're going to have to find a way to get holes. And it looks to me like Wright's getting some confidence now, because he's been able to pitch out of those little jams.
1-1 on Morales. He struck out looking in the second inning. His bat is starting to warm up. Our Kubota power stats in his last 8 games. He is batting .345. And as we mentioned earlier in the game, only 2 RBIs, as he hasn't been hitting a whole lot with runners in scoring position. The wind will push that at least far enough away from Machado, the only infielder on the left side. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's the overshift, and they leave Machado, who is the shortstop today, in the shortstop position. Now they're going to try and come up and in on Morales. It is not in, but it's up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mike Wright made his big league debut last year, and in his first 2 starts he was very good. No earned runs in 14 innings and no home runs. But as we say so often, the game will catch up with you in a hurry. And boy, did the scouting report change on him, because now in his last 9, His ERA is just under 9. And he's given up 10 home runs in those 9 starts. Pulled up the right field line, but Morales was out in front and hits it off the side wall.
Yeah, you're right about the game catching up on you, man. This is very humbling. You could be on top of the mountain one day and down in the valley the next. Wright's got good stuff, though. We've seen it. Good fastball, mid-90s. He's working an effective slider, and his changeup's been good. He's working them all in, too.
Left center field. The wind will push it some, but not enough. And Jones is there for the second out. Remember, fans, you can share in the World Series victory. Shop the official fan collection for fine jewelry and collectibles. Make sure to check out these exclusive items online at royals.com/fanrings. Two down to Alex. He was hit just above his right knee on a 3-2 pitch in the second inning. He goes the other way. The wind will push that deep into the corner. Gone just inside the It hit the top of the fence. No, it's out of here. It looked like it was gone right away, but Rickard sold all of us on the ball staying in play. But third base umpire Laz Diaz ruled that it was a home run, and Alex Gordon ties it in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Rarely do you see Alex Gordon hit a home run there in this ballpark. But that high fastball, it's up and it's tailing away from him. He went with it. Boy, that's beautiful. He waited perfectly. It's that one hand he takes off the bat, he gets fully extended, and the ball up, and with that little push of wind helped it a little. And we'll see it again as it just clips the fan and then off the top rail.
And Laz Diaz not just making the right call, but doing what a good first or third base umpire should do, and that is run out there to get as close to the play as possible. I mean, he was halfway between third and the left field corner. And now Colon, he was bunting for a base hit and missed. Nope. We are, depending on how you look at it, Hud, 2 for 2 or 1 for 2 as far as the 2 hitters we talked about at the top of the broadcast. Lorenzo Cain is lined out deep to right field. He's hitless. The other hitter we talked about, Alex Gordon, has been on base twice, and his home run in the bottom of the 4th inning ties the game at 1. for most of his life. He served as Gladstone city manager since 1998. He has 37 years of management experience in local government, and during his 18 years he has completed $150 million in infrastructure and facility improvements, including the construction, expansion, and remodeling of many buildings and parks. Sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at today's game, Kirk Davis. 1-1 tie. Lower third of the order coming up for the Orioles. Schoop, Joseph, and Flaherty. Baltimore got their run in the first on Trumbo's single, and Alex Gordon just tied it in the bottom of the fourth with a home run. Changeup is up and away. 2-0 on Schoop. He flied to right his first time up.
You know, and Dave Holtzman, our outstanding statistician, pulled up a number. That was Alex's 136th career home run. Only 8 have gone to dead left field.
That is a foul ball. It got the knob of the bat. How many of those home runs have gone off the fans' hands and then ricocheted off the railing?
Might be the only one.
Holtze says 2.
He knows. That guy's liking it, though. His phone's blowing up. Says, people notice me. I couldn't make the catch, but I did touch it.
2-2 on Schoop.
Thanks for coming today, sir. Check it out. It's not easy. Catch a home run ball, but he clanked it.
On the ground, foul outside of third base. We had a memorable home run, which I think became a double. Remember that ball that hit the railing in the left field corner, and then it ricocheted into the Royals bullpen, but it hit a higher part of the wall and went over a lower part of the wall, and I believe it was ruled a double. Right, we were all scrambling through the rule book, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, the green monster in Boston, if a ball hit the monster on the fly and on its way down went over the center field wall, that would not be a home run.
Right.
That's an easy call, but when it's a little more even like it is here, it took us a while to figure out the final ruling. In the air to center, bright day, windy day. Kane with the sunglasses on brings it down. 1 away in the top of the 5th inning. So Ventura continues to be pitch efficient after a long top of the 1st inning. Time for trivia. There's a familiar face. Our sprint trivia question. Prior to Trevor's story this season, who was the last player to hit 2 home runs in his first major league game? And it's been a while, so don't feel bad if you don't recognize who that is. That is Mark Quinn, former Royals outfielder in his first year as Orioles assistant hitting coach. And if you remember Mark Quinn, you might remember that he hit 2 home runs in his first big league game. You were broadcasting for the Angels in '99, weren't you?
And it was it the Big A?
No, it was here.
Okay.
So you only missed by 1. There's a base hit to right field by Caleb Joseph.
I remember it was with the Angels, and we were calling him the Mighty Quinn.
Yeah, first big league game. He was coming off back-to-back batting titles. He won the batting title in the Texas League in '98, and then in the Pacific Coast League in '99. He got called up in September, and I believe his second home run was off of one of the greatest names of all time, Shigetoshi Hasegawa. Now, he didn't homer in his first 2 at-bats, but 2 home runs in his first big league game. Hosmer to second one. Not in time. There was a little bit of hesitation before he went down to second base. So no double play, and Flaherty's at first with 2 down.
He turns and fires that immediately. It's a double play. Might have forgot the outs. I'm not sure. He's like, oh, well, no, what do I got to do here? Yeah, he got it over there. Escobar with a great arm, not enough. And he was on his right foot was his foot he put on the bag. Usually it's the other way around if you're left-handed.
And in his defense, I mean, depending on if you go by Gold Glove or not, he is the best in the league. But that's a gray area where you have to decide, do I run the bag and throw to second, or do I immediately go to second?
You know, in that the best defensive team in the game, I think many would agree that the Royals play that kind. We've been watching that, such great defense all year. They're going to have lapses at times. They're only human. You can't continue to to keep that caliber of defense up every single night. It's going to happen sometimes. You're going to miss a click here and there. Just hesitated a little, that's all.
Ventura back to make it 0-2 on Rickard. Lays off the breaking ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You look at Ventura's pitch count, 67 with 2 down in the 5th inning, and you say, pretty good. And then you remember that 28 of those pitches were in the 1st inning. And then you go, wow, very good. On the ground foul outside of third base. He had retired 11 straight before the Joseph base hit to right field. So 28, then 9, then 8, another 8-pitch inning. And he's only thrown 15 in this 5th inning. Close, and Flaherty is back in time. Two and 2. Great day to be outside. Here are the fans enjoying the outfield experience. A lot going on the field and a lot going on out there. Ventura started to walk off the mound. He thought that should have been strike 3. Instead, 3-2 with 2 down. Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks. Home plate umpire is Corey Blazer. So Flaherty will be running, and that's ball 4. That is Ventura's 2nd walk. Drew Butera going out to the mound, and he might be going out to the mound not because of that last pitch, but because of the pitch before, when we could all tell that Ventura thought it was strike 3 and the inning was over and he had to go back for another pitch. And now the Orioles have 2 on for Machado. Machado walked and scored the Orioles run in the 1st inning, and then Ventura struck him out in the 3rd. Down and away, ball 1. Machado has a couple of very impressive streaks going. He has a 16-game hitting streak, longest in the major leagues, and a 7-game extra base hitting streak. Good movement at 97. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, Butera couldn't even hang on to that one. It has that kind of late life to it. Good spot. Try to keep it out of the middle if you can. And there's a lot of pressure on a hitter, especially as long as the streak keeps going. But Machado's got to block that out. Just go out and react.
Breaking ball is pulled foul, and Ventura's ahead 1-2. Ball boy up the left field line is still perfect.
Same guy, I believe.
He extended the streak with a single in the 1st inning last night, and then doubled in a run in the 4th. In game 1, he homered. He has Flaherty at 2nd, Rickard at 1st. On the ground to Escobar. Inning over. So this time the Royals cover the non-double play. Who are you going to call?
Who are they going to slide?
One tie. Gerard Dyson, right idea, trying to bunt his way on to begin the bottom of the 5th inning. Right guy to get something going with his speed. He grounded out to second with 2 on 2 out in the 2nd inning. Dyson very rarely, when showing bunt or bunting foul, will do it again in the same at bat. And swinging away, fouls it away, and the count is 0-2.
Wants to try to stay on top of that ball. Any little chopper, anytime he hits on top of the ball and it's a grounder, he's got a chance at first base. That kind of speed.
Up the middle, Machado. Great play, but not great enough with Dyson's speed, and he's on to begin the bottom of the 5th. How about that range? Machado's momentum took him all the way out into shallow right field after that throw.
Incredible athlete, there's no doubt he's blessed with a great arm, but Dyson, perfect spot to hit it. Didn't barrel it up. Well, he needed every bit of that speed to get there. Now Machado, good range and showing how he can turn and fire, man, in a heartbeat. Good pickup there by Davis. Great stretch too. 80th career infield hit for Gerard Dyson.
Okay, if you're watching at home and maybe you've seen a play like that from Alcides Escobar, another shortstop, and you recognize it as a good play, here's what I want you to do when the inning's over. I want you to go out on your driveway and I want you to make a little target on your garage door.
You can use tape.
Yeah, use some tape. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go out in the street and get about a 15 to 20 yard head start, and I want you to run as hard as you can up your street, and when you're even with your garage door, make a 360 turn while you're running as hard as you can, and then try and hit that target on your garage door. Oh, Dyson down to second base. No. Second base umpire Doug Eddings says safe, and immediately Jonathan Scope starts waving his finger toward the third base dugout, saying he missed the call, and Dyson is very slow getting up.
Might have jammed his shoulder. I'm not sure about that one. I think Buck Showalter wants to replay this one. Hopefully he's all right. That's an awkward place to slide like that, when you go head first, sometimes you never know how it's going to turn out. And that ball, he squared the bunt right, threw it over his head.
Yeah, they got him right on the shoulder.
A good job, Scope. See, keeping his glove down, comes up much easier from that position, and he got him.
This is only the third time we've seen a challenge this year. It's game number 18. The Royals have had one challenge, and now their opponents have had 2 challenges. And even if Dyson's out, I still like the play. I mean, the ball pops out of the catcher's glove, and it wasn't a great throw. That was Scope turning that into a play.
Yep, showing some soft hands out there, but Caleb Joseph, he's an excellent catch and throw guy. He's averaged over 30% of throwing out runners in his career. Nice pickup on reaction here. Look at Scope. See his shoulder. See his left shoulder right there was kind of got twisted around with Scope's foot. Great tag there by Scope.
Drew Butera dropped a hit up the right field line in the 3rd inning and knew immediately that if it dropped, he had a chance for 2, and ended up with a hustling double. That was leading off the inning. The Royals bunted him to 3rd and couldn't get him home. 2 balls and 1 strike.
How about that? You square around to bunt, guy throws it over your head. That's quite a eye opener.
Laz Diaz. Some fancy footwork. Gets a nice ovation from the crowd and a helping hand from Mike Jerschley, and good to see a big smile on his face. He saw a white flash before his eyes and had to decide whether it was the baseball or the end of the line. If indeed you do see a white flash at the end.
Look at Jersch. You got to be there for him. Little helping hand.
Busted his wristband. 3-2 on Butera.
Well, you can see why the term effectively wild works. He threw one over Drew's head. He's threw one way away. I mean, he's not real sure where his command's going.
Good swing. Still 3-2. Fouled away again.
Yeah, just scrapping and clawing anything Butera can do to find a base hit out there, just like he did at his last time up. Not giving any at-bats away, because it'll probably be another week before he gets another opportunity.
And doing what we are all taught in Little League with 2 strikes. Choke up on the bat. Just try and make contact.
Yeah, gives you more control of the bat.
Flaherty fighting the sun and makes a play. 2 down. Now available at the Majestic Team Store as a DVD Blu-ray combo pack, Royalty Reigns. It's a comprehensive look at the 2015 World Champion Royals, from the story of how the club was assembled by Dayton Moore and Royals ownership to key moments during the regular and postseason. You can pick up Royalty Reigns at the Majestic Team Store behind the Diamond Club at Kauffman Stadium. Boy, we'll never forget that day, will we?
Never. I think the parade stands right there with it.
Planning for, we heard, 200,000 or 300,000 people. It's like, wow. And then that was nothing. It was.
I thought you were talking
about 800,000 people.
That final out. I love how you told that story about Ventura when he caught that final out. Looked at the umpire and thanked him.
Broken bat. Machado fields in time to get Escobar. Royals may take a look at it. Ned Yost puts his right hand out. And it's decided that they will move on. So at the end of 5, a 1-1 tie. Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by T-Mobile, get major league coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. 1-1 tie to the top of the 6th inning. Here's our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. This was a name we didn't hear much of in spring training because Mike Minor is coming back from shoulder surgery, but the Royals expect him to contribute this year. The lefty Mike Minor, who won 13 games for the Braves just 3 years ago and then missed all of last year with that shoulder injury. He is on his way back. 2-0 on Chris Davis as we welcome in Denny Matthews for our Sundays with Denny. One of those games where the Royals have had some opportunities and just not quite moving runners like we're accustomed to.
Correct. And some tough luck. A few line drives that have been right at a defender. So that's baseball, right?
And then how about Yordano Ventura, a 28 pitch first inning, and in the past for him that usually wouldn't get a lot better as the game went along, but it's gone a lot better today.
Much better, yes.
Now we'll see what kind of fielder he is. Just a little casual flip over to first base to get Chris Davis, and Davis is 0 for 3. So Ventura's next pitch will be number 80 with 1 out in the 6th inning. So there you go, 28 in the first and then 9-8-8, and then ran into some trouble with 2 outs in the 5th inning. So all things considered, he's pretty fortunate to be at 80 pitches in the 6th inning.
Agreed.
And now Adam Jones and a fastball right by him at 96.
And it's amazing how pitchers, young guys, can use very little windup and generate that kind of fastball. It looks so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you see film and tape of some of the old timer guys, and boy, everything's moving into that windup.
Yeah.
And then big high leg kick, and it's very simple now. Everybody's thinking the more simple the mechanics of the pitching motion, why the better off the pitcher is. But you're right, boy, they can generate some tremendous speed.
Remember, Paul Splittorff told me years ago that the pitching basics have been the same throughout the years. It's just, but there will be different phrases that change, you know, maybe from decade to decade or whatever. So they're basically teaching the same thing, but just using different words. And what we've been hearing a lot lately is repeating a delivery. A pitcher needs to repeat his mechanics, repeat his release point, whatever. And I would think it would be a lot easier if you're doing less with your hands and your feet. Hit hard to Kane, and there are 2 down. Second time that Jones is lined to the outfield.
Well, it's muscle memory, right? And it's like anything else. The less you have to remember, the better off you probably are. You won't be forgetting as much. So, yeah, muscle memory, and keep it simple, and then just repeat that mechanically, and you should be in pretty good shape. They talk about the same thing to a lesser degree with a hitter and a golf swing. Same thing, muscle memory, and you try to repeat the golf swing over and over and over. Pros can talk about that. If Tom Watson was sitting here with us, well, he could give us a nice seminar on that.
We had Tom in the booth a few years ago. It'd be great to get him back.
He comes out to quite a few games.
He was in spring training this year.
Yeah, he's always been a Royals fan.
Mark Trumbo drove in the Orioles run back in the first inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Orioles got a walk and 2 singles in the first inning. And since the first inning, and we're talking about 5 innings since the first inning, they've had a walk and a single, and that's it. Breaking ball hit on the ground to Escobar. Over to Hosmer in time. What a turnaround for Ventura after a very shaky and long top of the first. 1-1 tie with some muscle coming up. Moustakas, Kane, and Hosmer.
As our premier Mazda game break takes us to Detroit. Marlon Byrd, who started playing before Denny was announcing, with the RBI. How about the Tigers? They've been outscored in this series 18-4 so far. Both starting pitchers, Shane Green and Carlos Carrasco, leaving with injuries. Blister for Green and hamstring for Carrasco. All-star voting begins today. There's a rumor that Royals fans are really good at that. Royals.com/vote. You could vote up to 35 times total with a maximum of 5 votes per 24-hour period. That is per email address. So, you know, just start loading up on extra email addresses. 9 different Royals on the ballot go across the diamond. Hosmer, Infante, Escobar, Moustakas, Perez, Gordon, Kane, and Orlando. Dyson was on the DL when they submitted the list. So heck, write in Dyson too.
You know, I think Royals fans proved that there was no flaw in the system last year, setting an attendance record, shattering the previous one. And then those of you were grateful for how you've supported this team watching them on television. The Royals had the highest television ratings last year of any team in the major leagues in 13 years. So there's your answer to somebody hacked into the voting system, and that's why the Royals were leading in the fan vote in so many categories. Pam Rietmeyer is our Sonic Slam inning contestant. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Pam wins $1,300. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Pam wins 25 grand from Sonic and the Royals. And we had some drama with that last night. The Royals had the bases loaded with 1 out in the Sonic Slam inning last night, but Michael Givens was really a lifesaver for the Orioles in last night's game.
Yeah, that was the ball game, wasn't it? Those 2 outs were the 2 biggest outs of the night.
3-2 on Moustakas. Exactly 80 pitches for Mike Wright. You got to give him credit. He's continued to make pitches when the Royals have had men on base.
You know, Denny, I use the term effectively wild. That's what Wright is.
Yes.
You can't really zone him. I mean, that's the difference a lot of times between AAA, AA pitching and big league pitching, is that those guys in the minors, they're everywhere, are all over the place. The big leagues are more confined in the strike zone area.
And you're more comfortable facing a big league pitcher who's not all over the place.
That looked like ball 4. Instead, it's strike 3. And that's 4 for Mike Wright. 1 down in the bottom of the 6th. And now Lorenzo Cain with 1 out. And Kia puts us in the driver's seat. Cain hasn't gotten going offensively yet. Batting at .203 as he steps in now. However, as he hasn't fired on all cylinders yet, he is still tied for 4th in the league in go-ahead RBIs and tied for 1st with game-winning RBIs. So of his 13 hits, many of them have been the right place at the right time. 0 for 2 today, but one of his outs was a line out to the warning track in right field. And now a ground ball that eats up Flaherty, but he stays with it and throws out Cain. So Lorenzo's hit into bad luck twice today. And a nice play by Flaherty at 3rd.
Yeah, that pitch got a lot of the strike zone too. That was a good swing by Cain, and Wright was lucky to get away with it. The way the wind is blowing, I'm sure you guys were expecting a 1-1 game into the bottom of the 6th, right?
Not against the Orioles.
Two down to Eric Hosmer. Fastball swing on a changeup, 0-1.
Gordon sure measured that left field corner well with his drive down the left field line, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And he used some of that wind.
You bet he did.
Hit it in the right spot. And that's hit well into the right field corner. Gone! Eric Hosmer puts the Royals in front. It is his 2nd home run of the year. And congratulations to Pam Rietmeyer from KCMO. That's worth $1,300. And the Royals have made the most out of the first 2 rows in the left field and right field corners today.
Well, I think Wright got away with the pitch to Cain a moment ago. He didn't get away with that one.
No, and Haas, as strong as he is, He hit that off the end of the bat. Didn't sound as cleanly as he can hit him, but he certainly got enough on it, though. Had a little topspin.
Morales grounds it to the third baseman. That's Flaherty over on the right side. Mike Wright slams his right hand into his glove, hoping for a 1-2-3 bottom of the sixth. Instead, with 2 outs, Eric Hosmer puts the Royals in front 2-1. Home runs for Alex Gordon to tie the game, and Eric Hosmer to put the Royals in front. Our Sprint trivia question for today: prior to Colorado's Trevor Story this year, who was the last player to hit 2 home runs in his first major league game? Mark Quinn, who is the Orioles assistant hitting coach, did that here at Kauffman Stadium against the Angels back in 1999. However, the answer is J.P. Arancibia in 2010 for the Blue Jays against the Rays. Arancibia was a college teammate of Luke Hochshavers at the University of Tennessee, and he, in that game, he homered on the first pitch both times, Arancibia, against James Shields when he was pitching for the Rays. Alvarez pops it up. Kane looks up into the sun, calling for it, and brings it down for the out. Arancibia hit 2 home runs. He also doubled and singled, becoming just the 5th in Major League history with 2 home runs in his first big league game. Prior to that, it was Mark Quinn.
Yep. Well, that could have fooled Hud and I. We thought it was Ducky Medwick.
That's right.
What do we know?
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Now, this is a rhetorical question, Denny. Did you ever imagine Mark Quinn becoming a major league hitting coach? Neither did I. I never would have imagined that. He was a good hitter. He flamed out pretty quickly in the big leagues, but he was about as unorthodox as you could be.
That goes right along with, did you ever think Lou Piniella, when he was playing, would become a very good big league manager? No.
You never could have imagined that?
Not at all. Not at all.
Tough hop Moustakas. And Scoop is out. And Yordano Ventura is 1 out away from giving the Royals 7 innings. Remember to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the Kansas City metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. Another thing about Mark Quinn, you know, he used to hold his hands high he would stride toward the third baseman, but he had very good hand-eye coordination. That's why with those mechanics he hit the ball so hard, but he never walked. And we'll never forget, he had gone like 40 games without a walk, Hud.
Wow.
And he reached with a walk at Kauffman Stadium, and they set the fireworks off. Remember that, Denny?
Yeah, and he got a standing ovation.
Yeah. Everyone was aware that Mark Quinn hadn't walked in forever.
That was a deal.
And he even had a smile on his face as he trotted down to first base. He was probably just as surprised as everybody else. So you put all that together, and that does not usually equal major league assistant hitting coach.
Well, you take videotape of yourself. I'm talking about Quinn, and he shows it to the guys and says, "Don't do that."
If you don't do that, you're going to be just fine.
Yep.
Yordano Ventura against the Baltimore Orioles gives up 1 run in 7 innings. Thank you, Denny.
You're welcome.
For Yordano Ventura as the Royals lead 2-1. Our premier Mazda game break in just a moment, but first our Panera around the league as the White Sox leading 3-1 over Texas. Minnesota and Washington all tied up at 1. Told you about Cleveland right now doubling up the struggling Tigers, and Seattle all over LA. Those are the Royals' next 2 opponents on the road trip. And here is the premier Mazda game break. The Tampa Bay Rays up in New York, and Steven Souza Jr. See some empty seats up there in the upper deck? Souza with not 1 but 2 home runs on the day. So he's got a pair of them, and the Braves, by the way, have 3 on the season. Royals play them later in the year.
And the Rays ended up with 4 home runs today, so they have 1 more home run today than Atlanta does all season. Kevin Seitzer has his hands full this year in a big rebuild, and the Braves are preparing to move into a new stadium next year. Oh, and 2 to Alex, who has been hit by a pitch and homered just over the railing in left field in the 4th inning.
Yeah, beautiful stroke. I mean, he played the elements there for sure. He tipped his cap to that fan as he went out in between innings.
It was Alex's second home run that tied the game at 1 in the 4th, and then Eric Hosmer hit his second home run in the 6th to put the Royals in front 2-1. Slash foul. Mike Wright is trying to match Yordano Ventura with 7 innings. In his first 2 major league starts last year, Mike Wright went 7 innings in each of those 2 starts, and then he's gone 9 in a row without going 7. That's a fair ball. Bobbled by Davis. Alex slides in head first, and the Royals have the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 7th. It's a base hit for Alex, a 2-hit game, and he's been on all 3 times.
And he earned it. Hard to tell a player not to go head first, especially when the play is right in front of you and you can't wait to get there. A lot of guys get hurt and catch a thumb on that bag. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, but Alex, he's like, started out, it looked like it was going to be foul, but he stayed in there. Get him a head first dive. Make sure your palms are up. Palms up, and keep the thumbs close to the rest of the fingers. Gotta love that hustle.
Buck Showalter is out to talk with home plate umpire Corey Blazer.
Well, it started out foul, and you could see just a little hesitation in Alex Gordon as he left the box. It looked like it was, and then it kind of kicked back fair. Those are not reviewable.
Boundary calls between home plate and the bases up the lines are not reviewable, and Blazer is now explaining it to Orioles catcher Caleb Joseph. So let's see if the Royals can tack on for Herrera in the top of the 8th inning.
You know, the Royals have twice tried to sacrifice bunt. One was successful, and the other one early in the game. So, I mean, why wouldn't you bunt here then if you were bunting earlier in the game?
I guess the counter to that would be, here's a guy who rarely goes 7 innings. I mean, you got to go back to his second major league start the last time he went 7 innings. Maybe you've got him on the ropes. You've already got a lead for the bullpen. Why not try and put this game away?
Cologne hits the same ball he did that got caught. Now that's going to be first and third.
How about a hit and run?
Oh, beautiful.
Into the left field corner, and that's off the wall. Gordon was running on the play, so he's around third. He is safe, and Christian Cologne makes it a 3-1 game.
Hit and runs are a beautiful thing for a hitter. You're going to have to swing it at the pitch no matter where it is. So Gordon took off, and really, that's especially a guy who likes to swing the bat. That's perfect. And so I said, all right, I'll pull my hands in and hit it. You don't have to hit to the right side. Just make some contact, protect the hitter. And Cologne got better than that. A beauty. One hopper off the wall. Cologne's first double of the year. Yeah, good to see him excited. Way to go.
Yeah, Alex almost ran into home plate umpire Corey Blazer, who was going up the third base line to replace Laz Diaz, who had gone out to rule fair or foul. Alex did not alter his route at all, and my money would have been on Alex if we had a head-on collision. Low to Dyson. He's trying to bunt Cologne over to third.
You know, the umpires, they rotate out there and they cover for one another, and they all got to know before the play happens what they're going to do. Home plate umpire went to cover third as the third base umpire went out to see the ball down the line. First base umpire is in charge of the play at the plate. These guys are right on it today.
2-0 on Dyson. 1 for 2 with an infield single. He's looking at the infield defense before this 2-0 pitch from right.
Perfect time for a little butcher boy. A little slash bunt. Maybe a fake bunt, pull it back, and just try to tap the top half of the ball. Find a hole.
Strike, and it's 2-1.
You don't see that done very often anymore. David Eckstein did it all the time.
Corners come way in. Dyson gets the bunt down. A beauty. Davis goes to third. Out. And that was a tag play. And now the Royals want to take a look.
Cologne, he's got to be able to wait and make sure that the runner gets it down. Now, Ned Yost, he wants the challenge. And whenever Ned calls for a challenge, they're always right most of the time.
It's just the second Royals challenge, and they were successful with their first.
Davis unloads a perfect throw. His foot definitely got in there.
Did it?
You know, sometimes it depends on if the foot's there in the way. Lots of third basemen are going to use their feet to get in the line of the throw. But Davis, I thought for sure he would take the out at first base, but he went ahead and threw a strike over there.
Boy, that's a tough one. The big crowd starts chanting safe. I think you're right. I think his foot beat the throw, but the question is, did his foot go into the bag or did his foot go into Flaherty's leg? And then when's contact?
He tagged him in, you know, on his seat there. It looked like his foot got in there somewhere.
Well, that wording, though, we learned last year in replay. It looked like isn't enough.
You're right.
I mean, it's got to be obvious. And this is a good challenge by the Royals. 7th inning or later. So even if they lose the challenge, they still have the option at this point of the game to ask the umpires to take another look. But it's a big point of the game. This is the difference between first and third and nobody out, or a runner at first and one out.
Billy Duplessis does a heck of a job for Ned Yost in there in the video room.
And they're going to call him out.
Might have looked like.
And I'll bet it's call confirmed. All right, I was going to say it was going to be call stands because I didn't think you could see definitively either way, but call confirmed. I mean, the final result doesn't matter, but call confirmed means that the umpire in New York making the final ruling confirms that Laz Diaz was right. I thought that was going to be a call stands, meaning they couldn't tell one way or the other, but Cologne coming in high with that left foot. It was Machado, not Flaherty. It allowed Machado to apply the tag.
Well, Machado used his foot, that left foot, just left it right in front of the base there.
So a 3-6 fielder's choice. And now Butera drives it into right center field. Drew Butera picks up Dyson. And Dyson will score from first. So the Royals, and they make a habit of this, they don't execute on one play, but then they come through very quickly, and this time with the very next batter.
How about Ned's backups today? Drew Butera checking in with his second double of the afternoon. And Cologne with a beautiful double of his own. Just 2 batters ahead of him. Look at that perfect shot. I mean, he just guided it out there. No chance for either outfielder. Have a day.
Second time in his career he's had 2 doubles in a game. 4-1 KC. 2 runs in his first 6 innings. He has allowed 2 in the 7th inning. The second on a double by Drew Butera, and his teammates want him to do the hair flip.
Salvi, he's off today, so he's the pom-pom carrier. Like it. Energy. There's joy here in the Royals dugout. These guys play with an incredible amount of passion and energy. It's contagious.
Dylan Bundy is a Chevy call to the bullpen. Orioles first-round pick in 2011. Change-up. 1 ball and 1 strike. Escobar is 0 for 2 with a sag bunt. Wouldn't you like for just one day to have Drew Butera's hair or Eric Hosmer's hair?
Absolutely. I might trade it in for Rusty Kuntz's hair, though. Rusty's incredible.
Fastball at 94 over the inside. 1-2 on Dylan Bundy. Rusty's hair is well protected by his batting helmet when he's coaching first base. Fouled away, still 1-2. Remember, if you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. You can log in and stream the Royals wherever you go. Meske pops it up to the right side, and Scope will make the play for the second out. And now the Moose calls begin as Mike Moustakas comes up with a runner at second, 2 down. She finally accepted the baseball. That guy was doing the right thing. He got a souvenir and was finding a little kid.
Fantastic.
She didn't want it.
Well, she's a little shy. Bundy has a big fastball, no question about it. He'll go low to mid 90s, maybe a little bit of upper 90s. Slider change. Wonder about the decision putting this guy in the bullpen and not put him in the rotation. Maybe they're protecting him a little bit. He's their guy, has been for the last few years. You hear people talk about him all the time.
First round pick in 2011, and he was in the big leagues the next year at the age of 19 in 2012. But he had Tommy John surgery. And when he got back to the big leagues this year, he had gone almost 1,300 days in between games in the big leagues. And he just missed down and in, 2 balls and 1 strike. You get to the big leagues when you're 19 years old and you're thinking, man, I've made it. I'm going to have a long major league career, but no big league time in 13, 14, or 15. Breaking ball over the outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Base hit, left field. Here's Ventura. Rickard's throw is late. Moustakas goes down to second. And the Royals have come up with 3 in the bottom of the 7th inning. It is now 5-1.
That's exactly how you adjust to a breaking ball. Guy Bundy has got a lot of fastball in him, and so Moose, he recognizes it's a hanger. He steps, holds the hands a click, and then just stayed inside of the ball. He didn't try to pull it. Again, Moustakas recognizes the pitch is elevated, but the head position and the fact that he waited a click and went with it tells me he's hot. He's able to recognize that pitch. and hit it where it's supposed to be hit. Textbook.
Well, we highlighted 2 hitters at the top of the broadcast, and the 2 hitters were Alex Gordon and Lorenzo Cain. And here's Cain with Moustakas at second base, 2 down, and that's line foul into the crowd. Alex Gordon has been on base 3 times. He has homered and scored twice. Now Lorenzo Cain, in your scorebook it says 0 for 3, but 2 of his outs have been hard hit. He is lined to deep right field on a nice play by Trumbo, and he is grounded sharply to third on a good play by Flaherty. So a tough luck 0 for 3, but 2 good swings. And now 3 good swings. Moustakas will be waved home on Jones. Cut off. Cain will get back safely as Stoke bobbled it, and it's a 4-run 7th inning.
Well, Lorenzo Cain, he knows it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. You mentioned he's had a couple of nice at-bats earlier, and now this fastball, you see it's right down the middle of the plate, and Lorenzo, not trying to pull it, just goes with the pitch and found it, and he's looking at his teammates saying, get the ball, for a souvenir. I got a hit and a steak attached. Kind of love what the Ned Yost's super subs are doing today to help get this machine started. Little frenzy hit and breakout with 4 runs here in the 7th inning. Give a little breathing to the back end of that Royals pen.
Royals lead by 5, but they took the lead back in the 6th inning with 2 outs on a ram drive of the game.
Oh, it was a beauty. He just pulled this. We see Haas go to the opposite field with regularity, but man, when he recognizes that pitch, and Wright said that was the wrong pitch to throw him.
And Wright has a very deceptive pitching line today. He pitched well, but now charged with 5 runs in 6 1/3 innings. So that's not a very good looking line. And Joel was talking about the Cleveland-Detroit game and all the runs that the Indians have scored against Detroit. Detroit has a great offense. Their pitching is suspect. And now here are the Orioles, a great offense. Their pitching is suspect. They've only had 3 quality starts all year. And this is their 17th game. Outside to Hosmer, 2 balls and 2 strikes. With 2 hits, Hosmer has extended his hitting streak to 14 games. And he's reached base in 26 consecutive games. 3-2, and now Cain will break early from first base. Hosmer takes a walk. So all 9 will come to the plate in the bottom of the 7th inning. Pitching coach Dave Wallace goes out to visit with Dylan Bundy. We remind you to grab your copy of the updated version of Dayton Moore's book, More Than a Season, now with 2 new chapters. And the book explores the intersection of faith, family, and leadership, and the process of rebuilding a championship culture here in Kansas City. All proceeds support Dayton's charity, See You in the Major Leagues. It's available at the Majestic Team Store. And that book was written after 2014, so you could call it More Than 2 Seasons. Back-to-back World Series. and last year's title. 2 on, 2 out to Morales. I'm telling you that Kurt Kendrys has swung the bat well for more than a week, but hasn't had many RBI opportunities. He hasn't hit often with men in scoring position. He has just 1 RBI in this homestand. And the man in scoring position right here is Lorenzo Cain, as Danny Duffy now loosens up alongside Kelvin Herrera. Herrera was getting ready to come into a 2-1 game. That was the score when the Royals batted in the bottom of the 7th inning, and they scored 4. Ooh, what a swing by Kendrys Morales. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Bundy staying away from Hosmer, and when he just walked him there, and he wants to stay away from Morales here. What I mean by that, stay on the outer half and beyond. Come inside. Could greet him with a good compact swing. Powerful. Good spot there.
Look out, Rusty. Joel was telling us a few days ago, as Rusty makes that lady's day, that when you talk to Rusty about his aches and pains, it's the head, shoulders, knees, and toes update. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The Royals, of their 4 runs in this inning, 2 have come with 2 outs, and of their 6 runs today, 4 have come with 2 outs, and the Royals continue to lead the league in that category. They scored 36 runs this year with 2 outs. The runners go, and Morales hits it in the air to left field. Rickard into the corner and grabs it to end the inning. The Royals bat around. They come up with 4 runs. So the bullpen takes over with a 5-run lead. And it was the fill-ins today getting the 7th inning going.
Calling on all subs. Whoop.
Earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Yordano Ventura was in cruise control. Had a couple of innings where his pitch count got up, and other than that, it was really good. As advertised, all 3 pitches working. Had some help with some defense, as every pitcher needs. But he was able to get the job done and go 6 strong innings. 7, excuse me.
And you could go on and on about his day. He got into trouble in the 1st inning. Chevy called to the bullpen is Kelvin Herrera. who comes on in the 8th with a 5-run lead, and the 9 1 and 2 hitters coming up. This is game number 11 for Herrera, and the next run he allows will be his first. But back to Ventura. He got into trouble in the first inning, and this is an extension of that Yordano Ventura maturing conversation. 28 pitches, a walk, and 2 hits in the first inning, and then he retired 19 of the last 21. On the ground to Hosmer. Herrera to the bag, not in time. Flaherty is on with an infield single. Hosmer went a long way to get to that ball, and I think Colon was right behind him.
It was right there, but you got to communicate. Colon needs to let him know, hey, before the pitch even. Let him know, hey, I'm right over here. Anything he pulls, I got. Good hustle. Hit the front part of the base.
Just barely.
Yep, got him that hit.
Well, we've said it many times on this homestand against the Tigers and the Orioles. There really is no safe lead. Rickard is 0 for 2 with a walk. Another thing about Ventura, and this is especially important when you're facing a team like the Orioles, he did not allow a home run. He did not allow an extra base hit. And there were very few hard hit balls to the outfield. And Yordano Ventura has given up, if you go back to last year, 1 home run in his last 48 innings.
That's impressive. It's because of his secondary pitches, and he's using the changeup more. He's keeping him off the fastball. That fastball is the pitch that most hitters get, and they hit a homer off straight down the middle. But you can't tell Rickard that here. He was Herrera's pitcher that struck him out for the 4th time in game 1. And Buck Showalter told him after the game, hey, look, kid, this is a tough league, but not every pitcher's like Herrera. So he's just happy with that little pop-up right there.
Escobar takes charge, 1 down. The next time you want to grab Royal seats, get the StubHub app. Not only will you find the seats you'll love, you can find the best seat for your buck when you sort by best value. They take the price and location of seats and show you which tickets at StubHub give you the best deal. So get the StubHub app today. Not many seats available for this Sunday afternoon. Gorgeous day. This has been one of the nicest and longest springs we've had in a long time. 34,748 here today. So just some pockets of empty seats at the very top of the upper deck, but other than that, lower bowl, low section, and most of the view level are jam-packed.
Oh man, last night's crowd, today's crowd, all decked in royal blue. Love it. Machado looking to keep that streak alive here, Rhino, and he wishes he had a little different draw there than Herrera.
16-game hitting streak. That's the longest in the major leagues, and 1 more base hit in today's game, and he ties an Orioles record to begin a season. Right now that streak is down the drain.
Had to come to an end sometime. That 4-seam fastball, when it's located properly like it is there, it's just tough. Machado got to go.
So if that's it for Machado, the current longest major league hitting streak belongs to Eric Hosmer at 14. He had 2 hits today, including a home run. Strike to Davis after getting 4 hits and blasting a home run last night. Chris Davis is 0 for 3 today. And if Herrera keeps his fastball at the belt and above, it's a tough matchup for Davis. Drew Butera liked the location of that pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. 98 down the middle. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And I wonder if him taking that pitch is the result of the league being aware of another off-speed pitch that he has.
It's very possible. Although facing Herrera, you know you got to be ready for number 1. Some kind of talent, Kelvin Herrera.
Stays with the hard stuff, and a pop-up to Moustakas. To the bottom of the 8th inning. Herrera gets the job done. The Royals lead 6-1. The 8th inning. A reminder, today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Joel Goldberg, with producer Brian Shapiro, director Steve Kurtenbach, and our associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, and Dave Holtzman. Dylan Bundy stays on for the bottom of the 8th inning. Big day for Alex Gordon. Alex was hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning and then homered in the 4th to tie the game at 1. The Orioles scored in the 1st inning. They have not scored since. And the Royals have scored 6 unanswered. Changeup. Alex also singled, leading off the 4-run 7th inning, and came around to score. High changeup, 3-1. Full count. Before today, the Royals had won 11 of the last 15 with the Baltimore Orioles. Rickard sprints to the line, and he's got it. 1 down in the 8th inning. And now Christian Colon, who drove in a run in the Royals' 4-run 7th inning. Joel will discuss that, as well as the play of Drew Butera. Christian Colon filling in for Omar Infante. Drew Butera for Salvador Perez. Colon with a double and an RBI. Drew Butera with 2 doubles, a run scored and an RBI. And I imagine Joel will spend some time talking about Yordano Ventura today.
Why not? And really love it. The sense of urgency by these backup players. They're coming in, not wasting any at-bats. Drew Butera swinging at the first 2 pitches he saw on both at-bats. I mean, just staying aggressive.
Oh, and 2.
Your world championship product like the Royals have, the bench players, they are quality players. If a bench player helps you win 2-3 games all year long, he's well worth it. Terrence Gore, he won 1 single-handedly already. He's well on his way to winning a couple more of those games, man. He's worth his weight. You gotta have performers, and it's tough. Now Terrence Gore, really, his nerves are good because he doesn't have to play defense or hit. He knows what to do to get ready to pinch run. But these other guys here, they're ready to play. They keep sharp. Colon, how many games was it? 27 games in a row before that World Series hit?
It was 28 days.
28 days. Yeah, still, I mean, games in Paulo, he's always ready. So you don't got very many backup players, but 4 guys are all quality.
Colon comes back from 0 and 2. That's Bundy's second walk. 1 on with 1 out. Royals beginning tomorrow will play 13 of their next 16 games on the road, but we're back for 3 with the Washington Nationals the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of May. And we'll have our first T-shirt Tuesday. The first 10,000 fans through the gates receive this light blue World Champs T-shirt presented by Teva. So interleague play. And a look at last year's National League Most Valuable Player, Bryce Harper. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday series. Royals will be playing the National League East in interleague play, with the exception of the games with the Cardinals. So the Mets have been here. We'll also go to New York. We go to Philadelphia. We go to Miami.
Yeah.
And Atlanta and Washington come here.
There you go.
Broken bat, but he got enough of it. Colon will stop at second base, and Dyson has a 2-hit game. And now Drew Butera.
Gotta love it. Look, you'll take a hit any way you can get it. Had all 3 fielders there scrambling for that ball. He got a double in his second time up. Now he goes again. He gets a legitimate double. Says, I'm going to guide this right out there, knock in Dyson, and he brought him charge to the dugout. Little hair flip there. Easy guy to pull for. Drew Butera. Well liked, his teammates. He's the kind of guy that's always looking around for opportunities, and especially for people and making people happy.
Just the 2nd time in his career he's had 2 extra base hits in 1 game. He's out on a fly ball to left here, and there are 2 down, and here comes Buck Showalter to make a pitching change. Hud, your thoughts?
Well, look, Bundy's at the end of the rope. That's a big workload for him today. So he's going to let his closer get out there. Hadn't had much action.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Baseball's global reach seems to be greater than ever. For now, Cuba remains one country that's outside its reach. Watch our special documentary, Cuba, Baseball's Final Frontier, tomorrow night at 8 on Fox Sports Kansas City. Zach Britton, who is the Orioles closer and has saved 4 this year, comes on with 2 on, 2 out, and faces Alcides Escobar. Esky is 0 for 3 with a sacrifice bunt.
Britton, big fastball. 90-95, slider change.
Zach Britton and Sean Doolittle have what in common?
Yeah, they both aim their elbow at home plate, and really I found out that's what Doolittle does it for. I don't know about Britton, but when they put their elbow,
using it like a
like a scope, you know, like you're scoping in a rifle, yeah, like a sight, and that's what Doolittle did. Now it's very similar. Both being left-handed, maybe they got together in the off-season and talked about it. Or sometime.
Well, lefties have always been thought of being a little different, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Is that still true?
Right, but how about Kimbrel? No one has copied Kimbrel's style.
Let's see it. Come on. You said, how about Kimbrel? Let's see it. We need another pitch to show it.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I mean, it's
there we go. We got time. Come on, get in there, Hud.
It's intimidating. He's got his glove right here. You know, and he sits like this, and he's looking right at you. You know, funky. I mean, look, if I'm a hitter, I'm going, whoa, look at this guy. It looks like some kind of insect, some prey mantis or something. He looked like he's ready to jump on you.
Escobar fouled it away. Still 1-2. That was well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you consider wearing your Zubas today?
No.
Colon is at second. Dyson's at first. On the ground is short. And Machado to second base, out. Ned Yost says, hang on a second. The Orioles run off the field, but Bill Duplessis in lightning fast fashion says he was out and the inning is over. Brought to you by Thoroughbred Ford. Ready for a great deal on a new Ford? Then it's time to go to Thoroughbred Ford. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. Royals will jump on a plane after this game and head out to Southern California, where Mike Moustakas hit his first Major League home run 5 years ago. Royals and Angels. Coverage begins at 8:30. First pitch is at 9:05. The Angels are 8-10. The Royals are on their way to being 12-6. It'll be Danny Duffy in the top of the 9th inning, pitching to Jones, Trumbo, and Alvarez. Well, the Royals have really given the Angels a bad time lately. This was before you got here, Hud, but I don't know if there was a team that dominated the Royals more than the Angels did. Year after year after year, and the Royals have really turned the table on that matchup.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the Angels only have one win in 2 years now against the Royals. I'll have to get Holtzy on that, including the playoffs.
And the Angels, by the way, are down to Seattle 7-3 in the top of the 4th inning. And after the Royals are done with the Angels, we'll go north to Seattle. 0-2 on Adam Jones. 1 for 3 today with 2 lineouts to the outfield. Let's see who started that game for the Angels. Matt Shoemaker got knocked around by the Mariners. He is out of the game. Jones will run it out. Butera will throw him out. 1 down. If you count the division series in 2014, the Royals have won 10 of the last 11 against the Angels.
That's what I thought.
That was unthinkable about 5 years ago when they had Eric Ibar and Sean Figgins and Kendrys Morales. This was prior to Mike Trout. Now those rabbits zipping around the bases.
Right. You know, I was broadcasting then. Let's see if this is a tester here.
Duffy over to Hosmer, 2 down to get Trumbo, the former Angel.
And whenever we got close in Kansas City airspace, you know, the Angels then were like going, all right, we're going to pad our record here. Now, whenever the Royals get anywhere near the Angels in the airspace, the Angels are going, oh no, here they come again. Beautiful thing how the tide has turned.
34,748. Matt Wieters is going to pinch hit for Alvarez. Big crowd today on a gorgeous day. One hop to Escobar. He'll throw from the outfield grass, and he will throw a strike. The Royals win the series. And they go 4-2 on the homestand. And twice they really held down the Orioles offense. So a good day at the plate today, but also a good job of pitching to maybe the most dangerous offense in the American League, holding the Orioles to 1 run. The last time, and you got to go back to last year, the last time the Orioles scored fewer than 2 runs was 25 games ago.
Impressive job. Dave Island and the pitchers. Way to go. Another winning homestand, sending the fans home happy. But Dave Island's got a big smile on his face, and he should.
Yordano Ventura was outstanding today. Eric Hosmer extended his hitting streak to 14 games, and the Royals stopped Manny Machado's hitting streak. And now you talk about one team dominating another team. If you count the 2014 American League Championship Series, the Royals have now won 12 of the last 16 against the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
So Yordano Ventura is the winning pitcher. He improves to 2-0. And the losing pitcher is Mike Wright. He is 1-2. And again, the Royals were clutch as they've been the past 3 years. Of their 6 runs today, the Royals scored 4 with 2 outs, and they lead the American League with 36 2-out runs. Let's go down to the field, and here's Joel.
Well, really all the attention right now is on Salvador Perez. One of us is about to get it, but let's talk with Drew Butera here. By the way, nice hair.
Oh, thank you.
Big day behind the plate, and before we talk about the offense, want to talk about your pitcher, Yordano Ventura. 28 pitches in the first, gets out of it with 1 run, and then retires 11 straight. What was he able to do?
You know, he just focused back in the zone and, you know, worked ahead of hitters.
That's it.
I'm making it short so he can't come out here.
Well, we're going to just wait now. Here comes Salvi. Not bad. You got most of that.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just all ice.
You got ice in the beard. All right, back to Yordano Ventura, because I know you got more to say about him than just that. But he really looked locked in, and I know he's been mixing in those pitches and a real good mix of those pitches this year.
Yeah, he did. You know, he worked on his curveball and his changeup in the bullpen, threw him for strikes, and was able to get ahead of all the hitters.
For you to be able to get in there, too, on a day off for Salvi, contribute offensively, your second career 2-double game. Colon gets in there with a big RBI. What does that mean when you guys can come in there and take care of business like that?
Yeah, that's the makeup of this team. You know, we have great players that play every day, and we have really good bench players to come in and give those guys a day off.
And to be able to get out of here with a 4-2 homestand, 2 series wins.
Yeah, it's going to be a happy flight. I'm glad we could do it at home.
Okay, last thing. I tried to ask you and Hosmer this last year, and he was just appalled at the question that there could even be a competition. But, you know, you got the hair flip thing going. Fans love it. I mean, really, come on. Who's got the best hair on the team?
I mean, I'm biased. He does have a haircut named after him, but I'm going to go with myself.
Nicely done. How about the hair flip? There it is. Drew Butera, everybody. Ryan, back up to you.
There's the Drew Butera hair flip, and then there's the grab onto Joel move now that the players have been using when Salvi comes to the bucket.
Yeah, they're throwing Joel into the bucket now. I love it.
Royals win at 6-1. They win the series, and we will be right back.